The bus is back on the road again. A very, very, very warm welcome this evening. And yes, warm again is definitely the word because, geez, oh, it's absolutely roasting tonight. But we're here nevertheless. And of course, if it is just after 9 o'clock on a Friday night, as I always say, you know what that means. It must be time for that Friday feeling. And of course, as is tradition, if I'm on screen and it's a Friday night, then of course the wise man must be here. Canada's favourite Tim must be here. Liam, how you doing? And most importantly, how's the weather in sunny Vancouver? Roasting?
It's roasting today. It's brilliant. Aye, sun's out. Hasn't rained in ages. Well, man, 2 days ago, had the big Gastown Grand Prix, which is posted it up on their board. It's a bike race that goes right underneath my window. That was really cool this week. So, yeah, and city's full of cruise ships, so you meet all sorts and where I live right now. So it's a kind of fun time to be around. Seen a couple of hoops already, people on holiday and things like that, which is always good to see in Canada.
Everywhere you go,
and it's always and it's not always Glasgow. A lot of English people that your family are from Glasgow or something, and yeah, they grew up Celtic fans, So
aye. No, definitely. It's everywhere you go in the world, always seems you bump into somebody with a Celtic shirt on somewhere. We get everywhere. You can't escape this very distinctive shirt as well to spot. So yeah, that also helps. But yeah, welcome along, everybody. People are starting to come in just now, so take your usual seats. Hopefully the seats aren't too sticky because it's absolutely roasted tonight on the bus. I'll try and get the aircon up to the max just now, but yeah, I can't promise anything. But of course, before we do the rest of the show, you know what we do, folks? Do all the good stuff. Help the channel out massively. Again, I keep hammering at home. Of course, with being a new channel, we need to get as much traction as possible, get this bus recommended in as many people's inboxes on YouTube as we can. And so far, after every video, our subscribers are creeping up all the time. Every single video so far has done really, really good views. The number of views far outweigh the number of subscribers, which is good because it shows that the videos are reaching a farer audience. But of course, if you have discovered us via such means, you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Just takes a second to subscribe and hit that bell notification, and you'll be reminded when we're on the road. Of course, hit the like button. It helps us out big time with the algorithm because YouTube loves an interactive channel, and a like equals an interaction. So that's always good to see. Let's see who's in the chat as well tonight. Let's see who's on this very warm bus this evening. We've got 420 somewhere is in. Ali is in. Old Willie Napier is in. Who else? We've got Ian McIntosh is in. Of course, Graham Tyrrell is in. Fallon Partridge is here. Who else have we got? Alistair Jack has turned up as well. Only Seltz is here. Who else have I not shouted out yet? I think I've covered everybody so far that's put a message in. So yeah, keep your interactions going, folks. That helps us out as well. Because again, interactions are also a good thing. And yeah, what else can we do as well? Oh yeah, you can of course share to this channel. Share the link of this channel on whatever social media platform tickles your fancy and spread awareness of this new channel. And yeah, hopefully at the moment we're on like 350 something subscribers, so hopefully we can hit maybe 500 by the time the season starts. But at the end of the day, we're always thankful for if you subscribed up to now. Always thankful for you to be on the bus regardless of what the number is just now. Okay, all that said and done, all that out of the way, I guess we should get into it, Liam. Obviously, me and Terry did a post-match show through the week there for the first post-match to get Terry out of pre-season training, get some minutes in the legs, get him warmed up for the new season. Obviously, we did the first episode of the bus home for the friendly through the week. Did you watch the friendly at all? Did you happen to catch it against Cork City, Liam?
I've only seen the stuff that Celtic TV posted later. And some of the highlights I saw on Twitter and that. But yeah, I was surprised. But I guess they're in the middle of their season right now. They're playing right. But, it was pretty much a B team we put out there. And I'm worried about them overplaying Callum McGregor now. That's 2 games he's brought McGregor into it, playing with the just youth and all that. And I'm wondering what the theory is behind that. Is it going to
basically anyone that's an international player that played in the internationals at the start of the summer got an extra week off? The Callum McGregor retired for Scottish duty, so he's been available. So of course playing him, but you are right to highlight it. Regardless of the fact if he's not got international games, he is starting to pick up more injuries as he's getting older. you don't want to be overplaying, but it's only been a half he's got both times. The second half, it was a total B team, and Callum Osmond played in Doohan, but the rest of the outfield players were all the B team players. In the first half, there was a few first team players in there with a few B team players, but McGregor was one of them.
And I've heard enough about the Japanese boy standing out. You know, I saw that it was somebody had highlighted it was 3 or 4 good passes that he's made. So, I don't know, 15 million? What do you think, Phil?
40 million.
40 million?
He was good. Like, me and my dad were watching it because, first of all, it was a shock when the team sheet came up and he was there at left back. After what the manager had said, after what Brendan Rodgers had said, but it was very Marian Shved energy, where he was kind of like, I don't know what to do with this guy. You know, the energy he was giving off, like, he won't be in the first team. We'll assess him over the summer, look to put him out on loan. And he started him at left back. And of course, remember, we were told when this boy Inamura was coming in, he's not a left back, he's solely a left centre back. So he's playing at left back. So right away, it was like, okay, interesting. But he was good. He was actually decent. I don't think it's because expectation was so low. And for most fans, let's be honest, it kind of was because of the fee and not knowing who he is. And the manager kind of being a bit arsey about it to a degree when he just kind of dismissive. That kind of pushed expectations down. And but no, he looked quite good. And there was times when he was actually talking Austin Trusty through the game. He was actually telling him what to do and where to play the ball. And some of the passes he played were actually really good. And he had a bit of energy getting up to the line. And of course, Terry did point out, yes, he wasn't tested that much. Cork weren't an amazing team, and we can't go over it. So maybe not 40 million, maybe 30 million we'll settle for at the moment. But he was all right. He was absolutely fine. I was actually kind of gutted he went off at half time because Brendan said in the run up to the game, he's just came from over in Japan. They've been playing every week, so he's match fit. Thought maybe he could have kept him on for an hour or something, at least get a wee bit more out of him. But no, he was off at half time. But no, he was actually really good.
Well, you never know, right? I mean, first time I saw Juranovic play, I thought he was an absolute baller, you know, and amazing player. And that this guy was going to run amok in the league, and then that just sort of faded away. So I was listening to you and Terry, and you brought up something with Terry. You know, I was hoping you were going to save all your A stuff for a Friday show, Phil, but you brought this up, and it was you talked about, do you think Liam Scales will end up at left back as a backup for Tierney? I also thought that as well. Do you think Rodgers that's maybe the idea is to move him over one, and now he's fighting with this Japanese boy for maybe that position?
It is something that crossed my mind. You know, he has played there before, and I got reminded through the week, somebody on Twitter just posted a really random tweet saying, remember this? And it was the lineup from when we played Real Betis in Ange's first season at Celtic Park, and Ange fielded a total second string team. Liam Scales was playing left back that night. He was actually playing at left back. I believe when he scored his first goal for the club, when he came on at Tannadice against Dundee United, he came on at left back and he scored that day as well. So he's definitely played there. And there was a couple of instances last season, say Mick was on a couple of weeks ago, and he definitely backed this up because I didn't imagine it, when he came on around about January, February time, where he was being brought off the bench to play at left back. Greg Taylor was getting subbed off and Scales was coming on there. So he can definitely do it. Now, whether that's the answer or not, who knows? Do we need better? Probably. Let's be honest. I know Tierney is in a class of his own. We can't also trust Tierney to play as many games as we'd hope. I mean, maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe Tierney will be unbelievable with fitness. Maybe we're just getting too scared here. I hope it's the case. I hope Tierney can play loads and loads of games, but I do think at the moment, Inamura, it was a good start. There was a bit of encouragement there, but obviously a long way to go. We can't read too much into it. Scales, I mean, you suggest it, and most fans are having a panic attack at the very idea of Liam Scales even being involved in the team anymore, Liam. So I'd still like to think that some sort of competent left back option is on the table. But of course, Brendan, again, another Brendan comment. I know you love them, Liam. I know how much you love Brendan Rodgers right now. One of the things he said recently was maybe looking at the B team for filling some of the voids in the defence, you know, the backup places. But again, from what I saw on Tuesday night, and last Friday, you and I were on at this time while we were playing Queen's Park, in the second half, again, it was all the B team. I didn't see much on Tuesday night from the B team players to make me go, oh, there's a real standout there. There's something really encouraging about that player. And from what I saw in the live chat last Friday when we were on, most people were saying, this game's absolutely dire. So to me, I'm like, I don't know, Brendan, if that's a real viable option here to be looking at the B team for spaces to fill in the squad, because they showed on Tuesday night for me why they're playing at the level they are. I was quite surprised at how disorganised it felt at times, because I'm like, you guys play week in, week out alongside each other. You guys are an actual team. So other than Doohan was in goal in the second half, and Osmond, who's only just signed, was up front, but every other outfield player was part of our B team squad that play against like civil service strollers and all these teams every week. And at times it was just like really, it's just all over the place. It was a total, it just didn't fill me with confidence, and sort of backed up the point that maybe that's why not many of them get a chance right now, because they're just not the level we want them to be.
So how does it get to that level without us having, we have Sean Maloney now. It's going to be this, road manager or whatever, the pathway guy. And yeah, I don't know, like, why do we even have a B team? You get these young boys that we're developing, and it just looks like we're developing for the other Scottish teams we play against. You see a lot of names coming up, and I go, that guy sounds familiar. And then there's, guys at Fraser and all, that's right. They were all in our B team. They were all highly, sought after young players at one time in Scotland. And then, we just don't have that pathway. We've talked about it loads.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at Rogers that when he was asked about the Japanese boys' performance, that he was shocked. He was shocked that they had that, or surprised, or whatever it is. But you shouldn't be, Brendan. Know if you've scouted him. Know if you've watched the boy. Know if you had any part in signing him whatsoever. Shocked, surprised. That shouldn't be in your vocabulary. It should be, we target. We knew he had this. We knew he had that.
Yep.
I'm shocked and surprised at that sort of behaviour. Brendan, come on, sort it out.
It's not the first time that he's done something like this. I've said this before on the show, but I can remember his first season back. Obviously, we had to start the season with a bit of an injury crisis at the back. And Liam Scales, that's how he got his chance, and he stayed in the team, obviously. Pretty much got his chance and kept his place for the foreseeable after that. So it must be about October, November time. We were playing St Johnstone at Celtic Park. And I remember we'd won the game, heading up the road, listening to Radio Scotland, and Brendan came on for his post-match interview with him, and they asked him about what have you made of Liam Scales, his ascendancy into the first team and keeping his place. And his genuine words were, biggest shock of my managerial career. Instead of Brendan being the way he is, because it's fine for the manager to have a bit of an ego. You would expect him to go, I always knew he had it, never doubted him for a second, always believed in him. Biggest shock of a managerial career. It's like, so you're not really filling him with confidence then, Brendan. So it's not the first time he's done that.
Well, it's just an odd choice of words for a guy that's so pedantic. He has his call friendlies tests.
Well, we'll see what
we'll test tomorrow.
True. I'd expect the level to go up quite a bit from the first two games. But the Cork City game's in the books now. He did come away obviously and say that now you'll have a closer look at Inamura, so there might be a chance that he does get some opportunity this season, but he might still go it on loan. We'll wait and see in that one. But moving on that. So from that game, Celtic did win the Cork Super Cup, and the first of a pre-season treble. We're on for a pre-season treble, but we head off to Portugal now. The boys are already there. They are playing tomorrow and Wednesday. So tomorrow's a closed doors game. It's at like Benfica's training ground or something like that. They're playing at a team who are in the actual Portuguese Primeira Liga, so it's like a top flight Portuguese team. Estrela, I believe it's pronounced, or Estrela, I believe the team are. But it's obviously a top flight Portuguese team, so you're going to get a wee bit more stronger opposition than what we've played so far. And I also expect, Brendan even confirmed this, the guys who did play in the internationals, they had a week off, but they've all travelled to Portugal, along with a few of the B team players. I think like McCardle and that have all went, but it's only like a handful of them. So we would be expecting in the next two games to get a look at Kieran Tierney, where he's at. Obviously, to see where Benjamin Nygren's at, because that's a guy that a lot of people are intrigued by. Maybe Callum Osmond get a few more minutes as well. So who in particular are you most intrigued to see?
Well, I wasn't. I was Tierney, obviously, but now Nygren. So did you hear Sinisalo's glowing recommendations on our new boy, Nygren?
I did see something doing the rounds that Sinisalo had some comments about him, yeah.
So supposedly they played against each other a whole bunch of time, in like the Finland, Sweden international setups, under 17 and all that. And he's always saying he's been like a frighteningly good player. And just like you said, yeah, fans are in for a treat and all that. Yeah, could be, it's Finland versus Sweden under 17s. Yeah, there's a lot of really good looking players out there that look good and flashy and all that. But you know what? It was just nice to hear something positive coming about somebody we've signed. I'm hopeful for him. I think he'll come in and might do good. And I'm basing it on absolutely nothing other than just seeing some of his highlight reels. But, I always think we're a good club for Swedish players to come into. It's northern climate, it's cold weather, that sort of stuff. They're kind of cold and aloof, so are we, in a way, right? And, and so I think we're a good match for those teams. That's why I'm surprised Lagerbielke didn't work out. That's the first Swede since Hedman, I think, or Master-Ivanovic. I don't know, it didn't work out.
Oh, yeah, I remember him, yeah. Lundberg. It's got to be Lundberg, isn't it?
Maybe there is. Maybe just Larson and Jelby were the only two good ones. No, Lustig was good.
Of course, Lustig was fantastic. Up until maybe the last 2 years, his legs were definitely gone by that point. He was definitely done. But no, Lustig was class. But no, I'd say with Lagerbielke, that one is going to be one of the issues. We talked about it last week. Him and Naroki. Well, what happened there? We'll find out maybe sometime down the line. We'll get a tell-all from the two of them exactly what went wrong. But yeah, Nygren's definitely one I'm intrigued by. Like Ray Martin saying, he's looking forward to seeing Benji play. Because again, I feel like he is going to be played in the middle of the park. I feel like he's going to be more of a sort of attacking midfielder, which is something. I've said this like a few times now about our midfield three in the last season. The most common sort of combination that he went for was McGregor, Engels, Hatate, who are all very much central midfielders, defensive midfielders. There isn't one there that you could deem the number 10, one that's going to get forward and support the attack. Maybe say with Engels, maybe more box to box perhaps, but again, we still don't really know what Engels properly is yet. So I think Nygren could be that, because it might at times I have felt like our midfield, because they're all very similar in the way they play, they're all pretty much on top of each other. There's been games I've been watching at Celtic Park, and it does feel like they're tripping over each other at times. They're getting in each other's way. You can't really spread the play in the middle of the park because they're all congested in the same sort of area. So maybe somebody like Nygren, if he is going to be like an attacking midfielder, it opens up a bit more space, running behind, pulling some defenders out of play. So hopefully we get to see that. But again, it goes back to, it looks like he's also just a bit of a utility player in general, with being able to play out wide as well. And that's even been talk, Liam, that he can even play centre forward. So yeah, he's definitely somebody that I'm very excited to see.
Well, I think I'm looking forward to seeing Tierney being a threat from the left back position.
Yeah,
that's what I think we've missed as well. That could help open up that midfield. Is rather than going in there and standing there, we've missed that defender that can take the ball and go through, like go down that channel. Even if you have to burst through it. We didn't get that with Taylor. We got a wee bit with Schlupp when he first came in. I thought he was okay. I thought Valley was surprisingly good at getting that ball on the wing and getting past the first tackle and, moving the ball forward without it just going back and forward. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. And also as well, do you think Brendan's going to change his shape this year? It's, again, I'm only going by what I read, lately about the games, but, was the horseshoe back then?
There was
someone saying it settled back in by the end of the game. Horseshoe was back in effect.
A wee bit, but I see with the B team guys, it's they're not going to play on the regular. But the first team in the first half, I felt we were really comfortable against Cork City. Like, I didn't feel we were troubled. They just kind of got a bit erratic in the second half because we obviously brought our team down a level. But in the first half, with the more of the first team players, not all of them obviously, but a few more first team faces in there, I felt we were in control of the game, and Inamura gave us a real good dynamic going forward up that left hand side, which you will expect from Kieran Tierney as well. It was good to see him just not getting forward all the time, so that's what we want. And you're right, because yes, him, Greg Taylor, yes, we still talk about him around here. One of his things was obviously cutting inside, passing the ball inside, not really looking to get too far forward up the left-hand side. But when Brendan was here first time, he had Tierney on one side, Lustig on the other. Tierney was very much the one that would maraud forward. So I'm looking forward to seeing dynamic again, because Alistair Johnson will be playing on the other side, and he's very much a fullback that likes to get forward. So I think that's going to benefit us. You know, you've got wingers, you've got attackers. And in terms of your question as well about, is Brendan going to change his shape? Two answers to this. Should he change the shape? I think yes. I think he should have a plan B, because we've been playing the same system for a while, and when that horseshoe sets in, it can get a bit stale. Will he change it though? I don't know. He feels very much rooted in his ways of how he wants to do it. But weirdly enough, he didn't change the shape at any point last season. But for some reason, in the middle of the season, after we'd done all the hard work, where we had battered teams for the whole first half of the season and we were flying, something changed, something switched off. And again, Brendan kept bringing it up. Player mentality, they got too comfortable, which was a bit disappointing, because I pointed out before, Brendan's first spell, that team in that first season, they didn't switch off when they were 30 points in front of Aberdeen and 39 points in front of Rangers. They didn't say, it's one, we can just take it easy now, boys, and just saunter over the line. They wanted to keep winning, just keep going and keep going. And there was a point last season where I genuinely felt we were going to go invincible. We were getting up to the halfway stage. I was like, we're going to do this. We're going to do an uninvincible season here, because we look light years better. But yeah, then just that Ibrox game happened, and then after that, it became, we still had some comfortable victories along the way, but yeah, there was just a real malaise about the squad at times last season, in the sort of second half, where some of the performances were just ugly performances to watch. So I do think he should have a second option. With some of the names are getting linked with Liam for multiple positions, of the same position, it does make me think, is he building a squad in order to change the shape when he needs to? Because of some of them, because we're getting linked to a lot of players in the same positions and whatnot. And I'm like, is that what he's planning here? See, personally, I don't think he will. I'd like to think he will, but I don't think he will, Liam.
I've given up trying to guess Rodgers now. You know, read this week that we're going to look at maybe, you know, the B squad as well coming in. The signings that we've brought in, you know, people are glorifying it. Oh, we've signed 6 players already. Sleeves up, hard work. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm very unimpressed right now by what we've been able to add, other than Tierney and the Swede. I don't think we've improved the team. So the complacency and the comfort and that stuff setting in, I don't know, Rodgers, you're still very close to that same team that finished complacent and comfortable. You know, I know Tierney's going to light a fire up their arse, so to speak, right? Of being, hopefully, you know, demanding standards and, you know, and that as well. And I think players will respond to Tierney again at that, you know, being vocal on that, because maybe he can take over that part of the role for Callum, you know, or just maybe having 2 of them on there that are respected, you know, that, you know, like positioning and helping the team. I think they still need one more. I still think we need, despite who we signed right now and what we've got in the shape coming in, is that if we bring a real proper midfielder into that, so that we do play 2 in the middle, one way, you know, Callum and somebody else, yeah, you know, that would start thinking, okay, well, they actually do have a plan here, and it's not just like, you know, we're shopping in the bargain basement, you know, which it definitely looks like we are. You know, the optics right now with Celtic and what we bring in and what goes out on players and that's stunning. You know, it's a psyop of how much you can get away with. You know, as you put the frog in the pot and boil the water, it doesn't jump out. You know, and it's like you feel like you're getting conditioned. You can get conditioned that it's like, oh no, that's a reality that we live in, where we live in this box and we don't go outside it, and we're players at this much and then we sell them. You know, they think that by creating this sort of system that they have to rigidly adhere to it because it's the system and it's successful. But yeah, it's a gamble with the fans. You know, you're diluting your brand that way when you start diminishing what you perceive the value is. Whereas we think we're a big club, and we are a big club. You know, and you can see that. Telling you see Celtic jerseys all over the world, as we said at the beginning. Yeah, we're a big club, and our board has to start acting like it as well. We're a world recognised brand. 50 Cent came out and fucking pledged his allegiance to us because he was a big part of Jerry Butler's, you know, and got him going on Celtic and that. And so we got this global brand right there, and it's like, let's start acting like it, you know. A very good chance Oasis swagger onto the stage at Murrayfield. But at some point, he's got the hoops on that, or a Celtic scarf at some point that night. You know, so I think we have to respond in the same way, and that means, okay, throw something to the fans now and again. It's unbelievable how insular this board is as far as like giving back. Where's the charitable angle? If this was a soup kitchen, it'd get shut down by now. You know,
well,
by selling high but low, that get the cheapest ingredients you possibly can. You know, chefs no showing up for the Champions League thing because
bare minimum TSG.
Week, you know?
Well, I saw again people theorising through the week, and apparently it was said before at an AGM that the way Celtic try and operate is, if the Champions League football isn't guaranteed, which of course it isn't right now because we do have a qualifier, they can't go as crazy. Like last summer, we did spend a lot by our standards, but because we had Champions League football guaranteed, we had it, banked. But this season we don't. So what does that tell you really? Where it's like, okay, well, why don't we go and spend to try and ensure we do get it? Does that not ring alarm bells that maybe they're worried about the scouting isn't quite up to scratch, which, I've said before when we've been talking in the group chat. I know that Mark and Mick have both been very vocal about the lack of spending and the lack of adventure. And I think I said in one of my replies to them was, would you even trust Celtic with a big transfer fee right now to do it? Because again, I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot in this, but there is a contingent of our fan base who do not rate Arnie Engels, Austin Trusty, and Adamida. And we spent big on them last summer. And it's like, well, we did spend big. And apparently in some of these fans' eyes, we overspent because in their minds, they're all shite. So it's like you can't win. But to me, I'm like, okay, we haven't got the Champions League football guaranteed. But if we go out and spend like a big team, we can guarantee it. But I feel like maybe the Celtic board just don't feel that the scouting, that's worrying. If they feel that the scouting network isn't up to scratch to guarantee that the players we will bring in will be a hit, then it's like, rip it up. And do we need to rip it up and start again? Because keep in mind, in the last year, we've only just changed our head of recruitment to that Paul Tisdale only within the last 12 months. So you telling me that already they're having their doubts? Oh, that's not good, Liam.
Well, I mean, you wonder how that affects the players as well. Like the players look there and you see there's still a complacency there. There's still a lot of the same faces that get a start. Callum McGregor, I thought, had a quite poor season. Very poor, for a Celtic captain to lose like that as well, and be so poor in even some of the games that he played against them. That's not acceptable. And we just had a lot of players that just seem to walk into the team regardless of form. As soon as Alistair Johnson comes back, he'll move right into that right back position. And I really hope with Tierney coming. There was a picture this week, Tierney and Tony Ralston. I imagine they two have been at the club a long time together as boys and that. And and I really hope that Ralston benefits for Tierney coming there. Like I remember when Tierney came out and then Ralston came out and there were a couple of really good games at the very beginning. I'm thinking, all right, we've got one on the other side now. This is brilliant. You got two attacking fullbacks, like old style mould of the game that will run through brick walls, but get to the byline, cross the ball, have a shot, and show the toughness required in that to play with Celtic. I thought Ralston was going to do good, so I'm hoping that a bit of mentorship in that, for Tierney helps Ralston, that that maybe he's not the finished article, that he can still round up his game there by having somebody that he can look up to as well, and help mentor his game, Because I think Johnson's got deficiencies, He's,
oh yeah, he's not perfect by any means.
he wasn't good on the
Not.
Canada goal when we lost to Guatemala, which was a huge upset, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't meant to lose to them, and he got caught in the middle of the park, not knowing which man he should mark, and went with neither. You know, and I've seen him do that before as well, where he comes doing hard on his heels, you know, and looks a bit doesn't know where he is, you know. And I think he's still playing with an injury, I think, you know.
Yeah, that could be the case as well, no doubt about it. But no, you're right. He's not definitely not perfect by any means, and he has been caught napping sometimes on some goals that we've lost. So, again, you know, hopefully, because Ralston's obviously sticking around and he ticks that box of the whole quota of Scottish players. But yeah, he could benefit from Tierney being back. I mean, I watched Tierney's interview tonight. Thank you, Celtic, for putting up a clip on your YouTube account that wasn't 2 minutes long with a wee graphic at the end saying, watch the rest on Celtic TV. So thanks, Celtic, for actually putting a 15-minute something substantial. Thank you so much, Jerry McCulloch, or whoever decides this stuff. Thank you. And it was good. It was just good to hear from Tierney a bit of, you know, just how excited he is to be back and talking about how, you know, he's loving what Calmac's done and seen him develop into the captain he is, and even brought up the fact that, you know, he's even brought up his own leadership qualities. He says, I'm a bit different to the way I would do it if I was Callum, but what you said, and I've seen it as well with Tierney, when he was here the first time, there were games where he did wear the armband when Scott Brown wasn't playing, and he was only a teenager at that point, so he already had it in him there. But I was buzzing watching it just to see him back and just listen to him again, and I'm just like, oh man, I'm so excited to see him back. And I thought about his time down at Arsenal and winning the FA Cup in an empty Wembley Stadium. You know, you grow up dreaming of doing stuff like that, and it was an empty Wembley Stadium, and it's like, what a surreal time that was for football. But yeah, it was just good to hear him. But you said you watched it as well, so were you as excited as I was, Liam?
I'm waiting for that moment at Celtic Park of him at that first time where Callum hands him the armband. The roar that will go up in the crowd, just brilliant, you know, he's back. Might not get it back. You know, I think Tierney would be a great captain for us. I like Callum as a captain, but you can't drop him. You feel bad taking him out of the team when he's playing bad because there's not a lot of leadership in our part. That's what I hope Brendan does. I still don't see him that he's brought in another leader. So he's just like maybe Schmeichel, Tierney, Callum, Johnson. Johnson's a leader, but he's mouthy, right?
Yeah. There's a difference there. You know, I've a lot of people been waxing lyrical for a while now. Oh, Johnson, the next club captain. So as soon as Tierney was announced he was coming back right away, I was like, no, that's the next club captain coming back. So that's him there. But Johnson's got, as you say, he's got that wee bit of mouth on him essentially, where he can give it back to players that are giving it the big one. So that does help. That definitely does.
Yeah, and again, it's good you want to get more of a Scottish identity in the team as well. You know, maybe that's why they signed Ross Doohan. I thought that goal that he gave up against Cork, Jesus, it was like fling a coat on it, you know. It was like trying to trap a mouse with a duffel coat. You know, the way
him and Stevie Welsh, man, it was ugly, between the two of them. Oh my God.
And it's not like there's a language barrier between the two, you know. They should have had that sorted out. So what can you blame it on? It
was terrible.
That's why Aberdeen
injured.
That's why Aberdeen took a dive when he went in goal for them.
He was in goal for that sort of period where they dropped off.
Phil, speaking of Aberdeen, is the Miovski rumour? Is that came back?
It's on my list tonight of some players we're linked with. So he's definitely in my transfer rumours. But it keeps coming back. It could just be lazy journalism because I used to play in Scotland and there was a bit of mild interest from Celtic when he was here. So I don't know how much truth's in it. It could just be lazy journalism, just getting his name out there. But the fact that he's went to Spain, it's not worked. I mean, we know what he can do in Scotland anyway. It's not like if we were looking at him, we're looking at a guy that he's unproven. What will he be like if he comes here? We know that he can score goals here. We've seen that. Scored a couple against us as well. I don't know. I mean, will it happen? Who knows? How much money do Girona want on because I think they spent about, was it like 4 million on him, 5 million last summer? They spent a decent amount on him. For Aberdeen to pull in that money. It was not too bad. So how much of that do they want back for a guy that, and their standards is flopped? So I mean, one of the things I saw today was I think it was, if I was, it was on Ryan 118's pod. He was talking about it, and he had a graphic up, like the article that was talking about it. And it said that Miovski hasn't lived up to the standards by the other strikers here. And one of the names that they mentioned was Stuani. He's like 38 years old. I am not joking. That guy's like 38 or 39. I can't remember his first name, but Stuani, I've seen him like, and like playing Football Manager and stuff like that. He's that old, and Miovski isn't up to the standard of him, a guy that's probably by the average retirement age these days. And I was like, how bad was Miovski? Apparently he played 17 games last season and scored 2 goals, or played the equivalent of 17 games, didn't play full games, played a few substitute appearances here and there. So it's like, is it? I mean, I know we know what he can do here. We definitely know what he can do. He is a decent striker. He showed it at Aberdeen. Will it happen? I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, you have to wonder what that year did to affect his confidence or whatever. You might not get it back. Speaking of players moving about and all that, and Kyogo, first of all, I hate the way Kyogo left the club. It was just like, you want to cheer him off, and that guy brought me a lot of joy as a Celtic supporter. I really enjoyed seeing Kyogo play for us. I've never heard him come out and say he hated playing with Celtic or living in Scotland or whatever it was, and I'm surprised at how quickly a lot of people just went off him. Dead to me and that, but I think him going to Birmingham City is going to be a good move. I mean, he's going to end up like, it's Birmingham City, any of these teams with celebrity owners, they've all got a side hustle, so he's going to get, he'll get a platform down there. You know what I mean? And I think that's what he needs. And I think going to a place like Birmingham, playing with Birmingham City, will give him that buzz that he needs and all that. And you'll see him click on again, where he could force his way into the Japanese national team by what he does in Birmingham. Who knows?
He might. I see they're getting a lot of traction right now, like Wrexham, because they've got some sort of big American
Tom Brady
back, and Tom Brady's involved in some capacity.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're talking about big American sports personalities. Doesn't get much bigger than him. Most successful quarterback in NFL history. So it's obviously going to get them a lot of media coverage, and they can market Birmingham out there in America and make a lot of money from that. So. Yeah, him and Iwata, that was the other one that was with us. He's still at Birmingham City as well, so he's linking up with a pal down there, a familiar face. But the Kyogo thing, remember we played Young Boys at Bern, and literally the next day he was on the plane to France. He'd been promised that he could go as soon as we'd qualified for the next phase of the Champions League. And of course, we could go over old ground again, but we didn't go out and replace him in any way in that January window. We just thought, we're miles ahead in the league. It'll be fine. Adam Idah, he'll lead the line, no problem. And Adam Idah was replaced by a winger up front, of course, with Maeda, who's, Idah still scored plenty of goals, but Maeda was definitely more lethal through the middle at times last season. So,
I remember Gareth Bale was a right back at one point.
Yeah, that's right. I played fullback before he moved up into the wing positions, and he was playing at striker, and he was exceptional, absolutely exceptional. But yeah, in terms of, other things regarding the trip to Portugal. So Liam, you of course have a background in marketing and advertisements. You're quite a guru when it comes to this stuff, right? So obviously these 2 games we're playing tomorrow, and it's behind closed doors, and it is what it is. However, the second game against Sporting is not going to be at Sporting Stadium in Lisbon City Centre. It's going to be down in Algarve. We're going down to a city called Faro, or Faro, it's pronounced Faro. We're playing down there, I do believe, in the Algarve. Do you think that Sporting Lisbon have missed a trick here by not going to the Portuguese FA and saying, can we maybe use the Estadio Nacional to play Celtic in this friendly? Because I guarantee tens of thousands of Celtic fans would have went on a pilgrimage to this friendly to see it. Because I know that work is going to be getting done on that stadium. It's getting a massive renovation soon. But if you've seen the pictures of it in recent years, it looks pretty much exactly the same as it did in 1967. Celtic fans still go from all over the world to Lisbon to see it. And when I heard we were playing Sporting Lisbon in a friendly, I was like, oh, surely. Because the stadium still gets used by the Portuguese national team. They play their cup finals there. Obviously, it's the Portuguese FA that own it, but I'm like, Sporting Lisbon, you have missed an open goal here. You could make a killing from this if you just go into the Portuguese FA says, can we possibly use the national stadium for this game? There'll be more Celtic fans in the stadium than Lisbon fans, mate.
Somewhere there's a marketing department and a tourism board, or whatever it is for Portugal. Somebody's getting sacked for that. Yeah, that was an open goal. Imagine what you could have done, T-shirts, everything about it. I mean, Celtic got to do more of that sort of stuff, like more things where you go abroad and like the fan culture is there. And you're right, that is something that's missed. It's not really Celtic's part, but the tourism board of bringing people into Portugal and bring them in for like, an event like that. You're right, they should do a Celtic festival there. Every 5 years or something, or every year it ends in a 7. And you promote it that way as well. And it's like every 10 years you get to go and reconnect, and your kids and your grandkids and all that. You just reconnect and tell the story of Lisbon Lions. It's an amazing story. Tell people that, 11 guys who just came from around the stadium, like lived within 30-mile radius, no international stars, nothing. Working class, took on the best in Europe and brought the cup home, and still retained, lived in the neighbourhood and was drinking the local pubs and the neighbourhood shops, and everybody like I was young when it happened. I was 7-year-old, right, 6, 7, and all that. But quite my dad, granddad, everybody knew one of the Lions. Everybody knew one. Anybody, well, other than the East End and the South Side of Glasgow, but all my family always had ran into a Lion, and everybody had a great story about them. It was never, what a pain in the arse that guy was. No. Yeah, that was Derek Johnson when I ran into him with my dad. What a pain in the arse he was. But the Lions, nah. And I know we've got that, man. That's their thing. And you're right, the club's got to figure a way to, I mean, don't cash in on us, because they love to do that. There's a new strip just came out this week. I don't know. It's a bit Star Trek. It's like.
Is this the training one that's got like pink and green and white? Oh, it's all over the place.
The Ibiza one, right? That's the one you're going to Ibiza. You'd find that in your son's drawer. You might find some other stuff in there as well. It's like, don't look too hard. I know, it's like, if a young guy, stuff like that, would go clubbing, it'd look good on a bird, probably, like fit or stuff. But, I wouldn't be wearing it at 5s or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, the training tops, I know a lot of people do buy the training gear and all that, but I'm just more interested just getting the actual, like, the replica shots that the players would wear in a game. But the training stuff and the amount of training stuff they're releasing, it's just like, Jesus Christ, give us a break. But sadly, they know there is a contingent of fans that will just buy literally everything with the Adidas brand on it. They'll just go and buy it. So they've got a few of them over a barrel.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm married to an Eastern European, half Eastern European son. We've got plenty of Adidas in our house. It's like proper Slav chav wear, they love a good 3-striping over there.
Aye, definitely. I see it in all sorts of imagery from that part of the world, so the Adidas trackies and whatnot.
It's all true. It's all true.
As I say, the games in Portugal, I did feel like surely the Stadio Nacional would have been the quite obvious one. But I say it's not owned by Sporting Lisbon. It is the Portuguese FA that own it. I know work is going to be getting done soon to give it a massive renovation. Is it probably available? I mean, tonight they said in the interview with Kieran Tierney that the Stadio Nacional is right behind the ground that they're training at, and they're going to go up and see it tomorrow or whatever. And I was like, well, it was there. It was right there, like an open goal right in front of you. But so it's not happening. It's getting played down in the Algarve. That one will have fans against Lisbon, but yeah, I think it could have been there would have been more Celtic fans in the stadium than Lisbon fans. It could have made a killing in that one. But shall we get on to some transfer chat, Liam? Shall we get on to some of the links that are doing the rounds this week? Obviously, Shin Yamada seems to be the one that looks like it's happening. We're talking about a £1.5 million deal. He's currently playing for Japan in some sort of international tournament being held in Korea. It's believed that when that wraps up at the end of or the middle of July, that's when the deal will go through. But it seems like it's all agreed in principle. It's one of those stories again where Japanese media are reporting it before our media officially are. And I've got an interesting piece of literature on Mr. Yamada. So I'm going to read this out for you word for word, and I'm going to tell you where I got it from, right? So this is a scouting report on Shin Yamada, and it reads, Shin Yamada would be a great addition to any team looking for a clinical finisher. That's a good start. With exceptional movement and great mentality, Don't expect a flashy attacker who wants to take men on with Yamada, because his main objective is to get into dangerous positions and get shots away as soon as possible. With recently entering the world of professional football, Yamada won't demand a huge transfer fee and will only be valued around about £750,000. This came from the Twitter account, The Rangers Journal, posted back in November 2024, because in the run-up to the last January window, that account, which has about 10,000 followers on it, did a deep dive on all sorts of players that Glasgow Rangers should target, and they highly rated Shin Yamada. He was one of them. So, as I saw doing the rounds on Twitter through the week, everyone, all Celtic fans, are retweeting it and saying, cheers for that, Rangers Journal. We'll take it from here. So they seem to rate him. How do you feel about Yamada, though? All jokes aside, having a wee pop at our pals across the city there with that one. But yeah, from reading that, and I say his numbers for the last season look good, but this season he doesn't seem to be quite on it. So that's worrying a lot of people. But we'll see. We'll see.
Overlook the fact it was written by a chimp on a typewriter on a keyboard. The bit that stands out to me is don't expect a flashy striker. Don't you expect a flashy striker? Who goes into the window looking for new players expecting a flashy striker? I expect a flashy striker. That's the Celtic. That's what we got rid of with Kyogo. Kyogo was a flashy striker. Adamida's not a flashy striker. Maeda's a flashy striker.
Yeah,
I like a flashy striker. Get the flashy, get back in. I don't know. I've not seen anything about the guy. Knew nothing about Maeda, other than he showed up in an awards show with a samurai suit on and not traditional Japanese wearing. I thought, that guy looks cool. That's it. So yeah, let's hope he shows up, hits the ground running. I was always impressed at how quickly Maeda adapted, Kyogo adapted, Hatate adapted. They seemed to hit the ground running when they came in. There wasn't a build-up to get them fit or anything like that. They seemed to look after themselves. And the fact that he's coming from a tournament, he might be one of the players that might be able to take advantage of, like us having a slow start and other teams having a slow start, that he still seems to be in some sort of form. No pre-season required. So, I still want a big signing, Phil.
Oh yeah. Same. I still think just the optics of it, just going and splashing the cash on something, in excess of say 7-8 million, is there's definitely room for that to happen in the team, no doubt about it. And of course, we're not accounting for we could still lose somebody else. That could happen between now and the end of the window. You just don't know what's around the corner. You don't know what this board are going to do, especially if we don't get Champions League football. They might do something erratic in the last couple of days of the window to compensate for that. But regarding the Yamada thing and Flash Striker, I think what that means is he's not the type of guy that's going to take on 5 or 6 players and beat them and score a goal. He's very much a penalty box striker. Somebody like, say, what Gary Hooper was, a penalty box striker, somebody that just lives in the 6-yard area, in that sort of area. Because Hooper was a great striker for us, but would you deem him as a flashy player? He was just an amazing goal scorer. It's like, so I can kind of get where they're coming from for that, but I did laugh at that so much. It was doing the rounds on Twitter through the week. Somebody had obviously looked up Shin Yamada on Twitter, and this tweet happened to pop up. A big long thread. They've done a big deep dive on him from the Rangers Journal, and he was one of the players that they'd recommended that Rangers could have went for about 750,000 in the last January window. That was one of the ones they were recommending to the club to go and look at. And as I say, loads of Celtic fans, we that tongue-in-cheek there, retweeting it, saying, cheers for the donkey work there, Rangers Journal. We'll take it from here. Thank you very much. So if he does come in, hopefully, he is that penalty box striker, because I've said it enough times. We zip the ball across the box so much, and we need that striker to be on the end of it. We've been doing it since Ange was the manager. Abada used to zip the ball across the box, and Jota might come in at the back post score, or vice versa. Jota would do it from the other side, and Abada would be there. But then there's other times where it would just zip across the box and nobody was there because it just happened too quickly. It's still happening under Brendan Rodgers. I've said enough times about Adamida. I just feel like, see if you just stay between the penalty spot and the 6-yard line, you would score a hell of a lot more goals, because again, we love that move. But instead, he likes to drop deep, go out wide and whatnot. So again, if Yamada is going to be that guy, then the signs might be good in terms of he could probably bag quite a few goals. But again, with the way we play, we're always going to make chances. We're always going to dominate the ball in Scotland. Just need a guy that's just going to be there in the middle just to get on the end of these passes, Liam.
That's what I'm hoping that's the big signing. You get one of these guys that just commands attention in the middle of the park. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of them out there, like I think it's like a ball winner. I was hoping we were getting that with James McCarthy, like
yeah,
version of him.
Remember him? Oh man, James McCarthy. He was a fever dream. I'm convinced that was a fever dream.
Well, I think he'll show up in a conspiracy theory podcast before a Celtic one, because him and Maverick Comper and Bigfoot on the same panel.
Yes.
So guys exist. Yeah. That's a weird one though. Still, somebody you'd love to meet in a pub, here in
another one. Hopefully down the line he does a podcast like Open Goal or something and tells us what happened there, what actually happened with that move to, because the only thing I ever remember him doing of note was we beat St Johnstone at McDermott Park in a game where St Johnstone equalised like the 91st minute and we went right up the park and scored. Giakoumakis scored, and it all came from McCarthy winning a ball out wide, and I think he played it into Bernabei. Bernabei was the left back, wasn't it? He was playing, and he zipped it across, and Giakoumakis put it in the back post. That's the only thing I can remember McCarthy doing in a Celtic shirt. It was like, I say, it was a fever dream.
He's the holy grail. I think he'd be a brilliant guest for a podcast if we can get him on. Everybody knows James McCarthy. Tell him to give us a shout. Let's get him on.
Come on, let's get James McCarthy on this bus. Come on, James.
Come on. Let's get out there and see if we can send a bus round to, what's that, 30, number 5 goes up to Castlemilk, still, right?
Irishman in Porto with that, just a couple of games here and there. That line is immortal. His voice just turned into...
But now you know what it means.
It was a couple of games here and there. It literally was that, yeah. But that soundbite, he literally turned into Brendan Rodgers. This is before Brendan Rodgers came back, but his voice just turned into it. It was like, it was so weird. A couple of games here and there. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's definitely part of a Doctor Who episode that's going on, a parallel universe where this young Glasgow guy goes and creates his dream playing with Celtic or something. There's definitely like something happened there. It's like Mandela effect or something. The space-time just opened up and trying to pretend it didn't happen now. So wild.
Pretty much. Now, the other, of course, big transfer story. I predicted the other week, I'd say to put and say this will happen, but it'll go down to the last week of the window. But Liam, it looks like it might not go that far and it may happen sooner. But in typical Celtic fashion, it's just not quite cut and dry. Balikisha, it seems like it's happening and it looks like it's pretty much over the line. But no, there's still a little bit of paperwork getting dealt with or whatever. He missed training the other day, but it actually wasn't like for anything serious. People thought, first of all, he's left training because he's coming to us. It wasn't that. He was just like, with a couple of other players, he was a little bit behind on fitness because they came back slightly later than the rest of the team. So the manager gave a couple of extra players a couple of days off or whatever. And he was one of them, but he's okay. But yeah, there's still, it seems like him and Yamada are going to be the next two in. But yeah, Balikisha, it looks like it's going to happen. We've hummed and hawed and dillied and dallied and haggled over whatever amount of money it is, but it looks like it's finally going to happen. And again, we can't sit here, Liam, and say that we're massive experts on Belgian football and what Michel-Ange Balikwisha will bring to the team. But again, I think the transfer fee, they're talking, I think was it like 5 million plus euros that they were looking for originally, and we were scoffing at that. So it's going to be in that vicinity, probably 4-something million. I think personally what Celtic are trying to do is they will negotiate something in the contract, but if he plays a certain number of games to prove his fitness, because that's clearly a concern for us, then they will pay more money towards him. I think that's what it will be. Because when you think about it, Kieran Tierney's came back to the club and we've got just as many injury concerns over him. So the Balikisha thing, maybe they're just looking to get something worked in there where it's like, right, if he plays X number of games this season, if he's fit enough to play, then you'll get an extra million or something along those lines. I think it's something that's what's probably causing the delay, but it does look like ultimately it's going to happen, Liam.
Well, and when it does happen like that, it's like they take these so long that you just want to get it done. You don't care if the player's any good or no, but when you start looking at these guys and we put you look at the stats, you look, what their injury record was like and that. We can afford to go for a much better player than that. We shouldn't be looking at somebody that's got an iffy sort of injury record unless you're, an absolute certainty like Kieran Tierney or something. Mm-hmm. These guys that were haggling, and then when you're haggling it that way and pointing out every deficiency and every flaw in a player as well, it's hard to get the fans excited knowing that you're haggling over 200 or 300 grand because you don't agree with the value, of what he's worth and all that. And so, yeah, it's kind of, I wish they would just get them done quick and fast, and we didn't have to listen to all their, just gyrations and, like going back and forward and just proving how shrewd they are over and over. We get it. You guys are good with numbers. Fantastic. We get it. We're so impressed. It's just get the players in. You don't have to be the star of the show. Mm-hmm. Like those referees that want everybody to look at them. It's like the boards, and look how hard we're working. Yeah, look how hard we're working to get these deals. And, we're going another week, fancy dinners and lunches on the phone, to chop off £100,000 and, paying 500 quid for lunch,
Aye, no, definitely. The I mentioned KT there. Graham Martin's came in, and this is true. KT's been fit for a full season at Arsenal. I just didn't play him because he did get injured for Scotland at the Euros last summer. Horrible looking injury. I thought he was out for the season with the one against Switzerland, where Switzerland have hit us in the counter. He's went to obviously just block it, and he's done his knee in. He's basically his knees buckled under him. But apparently from October onwards last season, he was back in training with the first team at Arsenal, was fit and ready. Never really got a sniff until Celtic came along and tried to get him, obviously, to bring him up here on loan and get him sign a pre-contract. But then suddenly Michel-Ange wanted to use him for the last 6 months, and he actually played probably more minutes in a season than he did in the previous 2 seasons at Arsenal. So, yeah, that was quite funny. But I do remember that story, Graham, about KT. He was available from October onwards. It wasn't as serious an injury as it looked, and Jesus, it looked bad. Let's have a look at a couple of comments that I have starred along the way. Ian, you naughty man, says there's a left back at Pauk who looks a baller, might be worth offering. I wonder who that could be. Offer me Drachma too. Yeah, I wonder who that could be. Indeed, Ian, you naughty man, don't bring that name up. Ali says there's a name in here that Ali's brought up that everybody's forgetting. Surely there's no future for this boy. He says KT even young Tilio has had a decent season. So Tilio, is there any future for that boy? From what I remember from the few games he did play, don't get me wrong, he was kind of thrown in. It was a game against Motherwell at home that we drew 1 each. Motherwell scored like a 90th minute equaliser, and then say the 6 minutes stoppage time, Brendan Rodgers just threw him on, but he obviously didn't look up too much. But Marco Tilio, surely not. He's going to. Do you think there's a Tom Rogic style story in Tilio here, Liam?
Tom Rogic,
who did go back to Australia on loan, then came back again and did become the player he was. Is Tilio going to do that?
No, maybe more of a Jackson Irvine, Might do it somewhere else, but a lot lesser level. I don't know. I mean, he did score that. That was he scored some cracking goal in Australia that popped up in the highlight reel a couple of months ago. It was just an absolute screamer, and they looked to business. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard for these players, I think, when they're young, especially when they come over from Australia. Only one that's even Landon Dykes, right? Was he 3rd division?
Aye.
He came over and did okay in Scotland. I don't know. I think it's a hard place for young Australian boys to come over, because I think there's a massive jump in the league. I mean, in the standard. I always thought anytime you played with a bunch of Aussies over here, the standard between them and Canadians were much better than Australians. So it's still a non-fit. So I think still you can look really good over there, and then you can come over here and just be sort of average until unless you exceptional when you work on your game like Rogic did.
Obviously Rogic, when he came back, it was Ronnie that gave him his chance. Neil Lennon had sent him on loan twice, but it was Ronnie Dyler in Ronnie's second season. I remember Rogic coming back into the team and didn't look back after that. I mean, that season he was fantastic. The goal at Kilmarnock, 92nd minute, just hits it on the turn right in the top corner from about 30 yards. Ridiculous goal. Still one of my favourites to this day.
I thought it was. I thought he'd one of the better send-offs of a Celtic player I've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah.
I thought Ange was very, very good. The way he managed, like the sending off, like the
his eyes
seeing away and all that with the fans
and
all that. The way he did him and Near Baton. Two guys that had been almost 10 years at the club, and I thought it was a good way. You like to see players leave with that sort of recognition. You could see how much it meant to him, as did like Joe Hart and things like that. There's some players that just leave without anything, they're just gone, and you don't get a chance to show them how good they were and that. I mean, did Lustig get a sending off?
Yeah, Lustig was the 2019 Cup final against Hearts.
That's right. Yeah.
But that whole day ended up becoming overshadowed by the news about Neil Lennon getting the contract and the showers, because Lustig set up the winning goal. When Edouard scored the winner, it was a long ball, Hearts played up the middle, and Lustig just got forward and headed it, and it just happened to just go right through nicely into the path of Odsonne Edouard, and he ran through and he scored. So Lustig actually got the assist for the winning goal in the final in his last game, and him and Scott Brown lifted the cup together, like with a handle each. But yeah, I remember just the whole atmosphere of the day just like going flat when Peter Lawwell did that interview on BBC saying we've just offered Neil Lennon the contract, and then waxing lyrical, we didn't consider anybody else, we filed all the CVs away, and yeah, we all remember it well. So yeah,
nobody remembers it like you. You're the only one that remembers all this stuff.
I remember. So that was Lustig's. Phil GPT, I know I've been called that a few times in the chat by some people, but yeah, that was Lustig's last game. So he did get a big send off, but yeah, that whole day's remembered for Neil Lennon getting offered the contract in the Hampden showers. So yeah, put a bit of a dampener on it.
I thought they were going to do that with Greg Taylor this year. I thought Greg Taylor would get the contract in the showers, do flip flops, the whole bit. Baby in the arm contract.
I guess you owe Aberdeen one then in that case, yeah. Because if we had beat them, then maybe things would have been different. But no, at the end of the day, we wanted to win that treble badly. We did. All jokes aside about Greg Taylor and whatnot, that one's going to hurt for a little while. We need to make right on that one. And to be fair, we've only got them in the second game of the season, so we don't have long to wait to try and make it right, to get a bit of revenge against them. So hopefully Celtic are a lot more motivated in that game than what they were in the cup final. Now, here's a comment as well that I started from earlier in the show, a wee hypothetical situation, Liam. Okay. So Chris M has asked, gents, here's a hypothetical. What if Brendan was in charge when we signed a Hugmanay trio and a Riley? So that's obviously Maeda, Hatate, and Ideguchi, I want to say, was the other one. Wasn't it Ideguchi who did obviously about too much? The Gucci belt. There you go.
I thought he was ordering a wee bit of Gucci for himself.
So if Brendan Rodgers was the manager in that window, how would their careers have panned out, do you think? That's what Chris M is asking, Liam. How do you think?
Gucci would start every game. He loves a bit of Gucci. That's it. Definitely.
That's it.
I think he'd probably... Yeah, you know what? You don't know. I think you'd probably have Maeda and Furuhashi as wingers. We're looking to... And I guess he'd have Giacomakis up front. That would look more like a Rodgers team, I think.
Because Giacomakis would have been there, of course, yeah.
I was always surprised that we didn't put Furuhashi out in the wing more. He had some really... When he first came into the team and we played him in the wing, he was lightning fast. I think his first game was against Hearts as well. I remember him just ripping a piss out their defenders, taking the ball to the edge of the box, stopping, like getting the defender to stop, and then taking off for a standing start with the ball, just causing panic in their defence, But anyway,
Kyogo did play out wide, you're right, early on. Came on against Hearts that first game, which unfortunately we lost that one, but we played Hearts again a couple of weeks later in the League Cup, and he played out wide that day. Odsonne Edouard played through the middle, and Kyogo and Edouard were great that day. We beat them 3-2. There's a goal that we scored in that one. It was a brilliant sweeping move all the way up the park, and Kyogo and Edouard's link-up play was fantastic, and Edouard finished it. But at the tail end of Kyogo's time, he played out wide. Remember the 3-each draw with Dundee in around about January time? He was playing out wide that night, he was playing, and he was actually doing all right. I remember we kind of just completely lost it away in the second half in that game where we were quite comfortable, and then it just all was very crap. I'm pretty sure it was after Kyogo had gone off the park, but he was capable of it. He was. There was no doubt about it. A lot of fans had like a panic attack whenever he would suggest, "How about Kyogo out wide?" Oh no, we can't do that. And it's like, well, we can. He's capable of it, but he's obviously more dangerous through the middle.
Well, just like Maeda as well, he'll track his man right back to the corner flag if he has to. I like that sense of responsibility in a player as well, that they don't just wait till they're in a different zone and let up, because that player's still running in, or somebody else will pick him up. No, Kyogo was really good at doing that and being able to do something with the ball when he got to in reach of it as well, of doing a quick turn or a quick pass or a give and go. I think we missed that. I'm hoping, like, it's Nygren. Like, for some reason, I keep thinking he's a winger, but everybody's telling me he's a midfielder now. I've been watching podcasts that he's an attacking midfielder. I don't know. So, which shape do you think he would play to accommodate, like, Rodgers now, right? So,
okay.
Do you think he'll shape to, like, what would it be, like 4-2-3-1?
4-2-3-1. It needs to be very distinctive in the middle with the midfield free. You need to have a very clear role of what they're all doing. So right now, as I was saying earlier on, it feels like all three of them are just very much defensive and central midfielders. It feels like Callum McGregor sits deepest, and then the other two are pretty much just by his side, just a little bit in front of him. Hatate and Engels. I feel like because Hatate's going to be injured. Hatate is injured right now, and I don't think he's making the start of the season. That's another one that's alongside Jota. Jota, I believe, also is linked up with the team out there in Lisbon and did an interview and says he's optimistic about getting back sooner, but we need to see how the rehab goes. So maybe we'll have him back in November, maybe instead of like January. We'll wait and see. But Hatate, we've not had any update on, but I believe because he's not featured at all in the game so far, he must still be cropped, and it was a bad injury that he took. But I think we start the season, it'll be McGregor sitting deepest, Engels a little bit in front of him, and I think Nygren will be told to be the number 10. So eventually you'll have like McGregor and Engels can be like a double pivot, as they call it, and the base of the midfield, the pivot. They can have that because that's what he did in his first spell as Celtic manager. It was Scott Brown and Callum McGregor with a double pivot, and then they have like Tom Rogic as the number 10. They'd have that wee triangle in the middle of the park, and that's how they'd be set up. So you've got an attacking midfielder, like somebody at the front of it, and then two guys behind supporting. And they can get forward when they need to, but mostly their job is to sit deep, break up attacking play, and pass it out to the more creative players and whatnot. So I think that's where Nygren fits in. Now, Hatate, when he comes back from his injury, where does he fit in? I keep saying it. I think this injury has stopped Hatate from leaving this summer, because he was one as this season was going on. And in the second half of the season, Hatate really started. Remember, I think Mick said this as well. First half of the season, Hatate could have left at any point for most of us, because it just felt like he doesn't seem motivated, he doesn't seem in it. But second half of the season, I thought Hatate went up a good few levels. And it was just a shame that the season ended the way it did. And in hindsight, was that a crucial factor to us losing that cup final? Maybe. But when he does come back, it's like, where does he fit in? Does he leave in the January window? Is it a case of, because I do think that Hatate will be one that we will move on, but when we can, when a good solid bid comes in for him, because the boy himself said from day one that he has ambitions far beyond Celtic. But it feels like 2 times now this has happened where it's looked like we'll probably try and cash in on Hatate, but he's been injured in order to go. So that's going to be the conundrum for Brendan when he comes back. But then where does Paulo Bernardo fit in? Does he push on this season? What do we get out of him? And then Luke McCown asked Terry on Tuesday night regarding him, saying, what can we expect? Does McCown have another level he can reach, or is he now at his sort of zenith where he's just going to be that squad player that comes in and plays a few games here and there? He's useful in places. So we are quite stacked in the middle, but I think the start of the season, there'll be Nygren as a number 10 with Engels and McGregor as the 6 and the 8 behind them, to put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, Luke McCown, wouldn't he be bad in behind the striker? He does take out, when you were talking earlier about that Gary Hooper type player, he always manages to get free in the box. His goals aren't spectacular. It's more of him jumping onto something quick and getting a really quick shot away. So I don't know, maybe there's an opportunity to him if we revise his shape to make more of a control in there. I know I lost a lot of the excitement I had for him coming into the team when he played against Rangers. I thought against Rangers, I think he was really poor, and I've seen him against him. Like when we went to Ibrox, he was completely overwhelmed. And I was like, okay, come on, man, you've been there before with other teams, and you shouldn't be happening to you. You're going in with Celtic. So yeah, I don't know about Luke McCown. I like him. He scores goals, but yeah, he just seems a little bit lightweight when you're in a really battle of a game.
Yeah, I was to say you're right. That game that he played in March, where he came in, he did seem very overwhelmed by the situation. But I say, yeah, he's a useful enough squad player. But does he have another level to go to? No, I think this is his level. That'll be it for him. But say he's a handy enough player to have, and we're definitely stacked enough in that part of the park. This is a case of if Hatate leaves, say in January or whatever. See, that's the one that I'd say out the midfield right now is the most likely to go, but right now it won't happen because of his injury. So I think he's out till, I don't know, we've not had an update to be honest, and that shows you how bad that is, and how many weeks is he going to need to get back up to speed. But if we can get the Hatate, who in the second half of last season was playing, then we're on to a winner, because he was excellent, I thought, in the second half of the season. So hopefully when he comes back, he's motivated, and that's the type of Hatate that we get. But yeah, in terms of everything, I think we've covered everything tonight. So we've done about an hour and 11 minutes, Liam. I think that's probably time we wrap this one up. We've had quite a big viewing audience tonight. So yeah, because we're sitting at over 70 watching live right now, which is pretty good. So it shows that this small little channel that's only just started up is doing no too bad. So of course, I encourage you to do it at the start. Do all that good stuff, guys. Help us out massively. Hit the old like button, the subscribe button, obviously, if you're new to the channel. Hit the subscribe, keep the bus in your life that wee bit longer. Hit the bell notification and be reminded when we are on the road. And of course, share the link of the new channel far and wide, and we'll try and get the numbers up even further before the new season starts. But yeah, things are motoring along quite nicely at the moment on this new bus venture. So thanks everyone for coming along and buying a ticket and joining me and Liam this fine Friday night, this warm bloody Friday night as well, because Jesus Christ, I'm absolutely sweating here. I've got my windows wide open as well. I mean, I'm sorry if any of my neighbours are Rangers fans have had to listen to me talking Celtic just out the window constantly, because I've been gathering away here. But yeah, anyway, we're going to head off, folks, and I enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your weekend, because it's going to be sweltering all weekend, I do believe, as well, if you're going to maybe transmit.
Phil, are you doing a bus home tomorrow?
No, because the game is on Celtic TV only. The reason why we did a bus home on Tuesday was it was on Premier Sport, and I've got Premier Sport. So I was like to Terry, I went, I've got that channel. We can both do a bus home on it, do a post-match show. So that's why we did it. But I did say on Tuesday night, are we going to do post-matches for the rest of the preseason games? Probably not. It's all about availability. But I wouldn't see the game anyway. I wouldn't see it. And I think it's on at I think it's 11 o'clock in the morning, like our time. Like it's pretty much like lunchtime in Portugal. I'm pretty sure somebody said on our pod today it's like 11:15 in the morning or something. It kicks off our time, and I was like, I mean, tomorrow I'm planning to try and get up and get to the gym early morning, so I'm probably not going to see it.
3 o'clock for me. 3.
So as for you, it's even earlier. So that's even worse for you. But yeah, it's on Celtic TV behind that good old paywall. Get your Jerry McCulloch commentary and whatnot, and behind your however much it is a month you need to pay. So yeah, tonight it was a breath of fresh air for them actually to post something that was substantial. 15-minute interview with Kieran Tierney. I was like, well, thank God for that. Really appreciate that one, Celtic. Cheers. But yes, there'll be no. In terms of paywalls and that, there'll be no Patreons or paywalls here on this channel. Much like on the Bhoys bus, all of our content will remain free. Even when the channel does get to a stage where things will be monetized, we will, similar to the previous channel, we'll never ever hide anything behind paywalls and Patreons and whatnot. Everything will still be on here as usual. But of course, you'll know that if you hit the subscribe button on the way out, if you haven't done so yet, to keep us in your life that wee bit longer. So enjoy the rest of your night, your weekend. If you're going to transmit, if you're going to the Scottish Open golf, whatever, it's stunning weather out there, whatever you're getting up to. And if you're going down to Manchester to watch Oasis, I believe it's tonight and tomorrow night they're doing. If you're doing that, first of all, you've got a hell of a lot of money to get a ticket for it. Fair play to you. Enjoy whatever you get up to. And yeah, we shall see you on the next one. I'm hoping try to do an episode maybe early next week, but again, it's all about availability. But if all else fails, you know that me and Liam will be back next Friday for another Friday feeling. So yeah, enjoy whatever you get up to, guys, and we shall see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.